PlayStation 3 HEN version 4.92 is here. I'll show you everything that it takes step by step to get PS3 HEN up and running on any model of PlayStation 3 system. Fire up your PlayStation 3 and your PC because you're about to level up your setup. Everything you need to download for the project is included in a single all-in-one zip file on my official website. This page is linked for you in the video description. When you scroll down on the page, you'll see some recommendations for compatible USB drives for your PlayStation 3. Then you'll see a link for the download for the all-in-one file. Click the green download button to download the zip file directly to your computer. Once you have the zip file downloaded, open up a new instance of File Explorer by right-clicking and selecting your Downloads folder. You'll find the zip file here. Extract the contents of the file by right-clicking on it and selecting Extract All. You can extract it directly into the predetermined path. Once you've extracted the file, you don't need the zip file anymore. Right-click and delete it to send it on its way to the recycle bin. Let's take a look at what's in the folder. Double-click into the folder and you'll find two things here. The first one is called GUI format. It's used to format large-size USB drives in FAT32 format. And the other is a PS3 folder with hybrid firmware for your system. I'm going to drag this window over to the left side of the screen and snap it into place. Insert a USB-A drive into an open USB port on your computer. If you have Windows set to open File Explorer when you insert a USB device, great. If you don't, open up a new instance of File Explorer and go to this PC. I'll take the File Explorer window with this PC and drag it over to the right side to snap it into place. You'll need to identify the drive letter assigned to your USB drive by Windows. In this case, it's drive letter E and it's named Subscribe so you don't forget to subscribe to the channel while you're here. There's a lot more great PS3 content waiting for you. Don't get this drive letter thing wrong, because if you pick the wrong drive letter in the next step, you might end up formatting your system drive, and well, that would suck. You can close out the This PC window and go back over to the Downloads window. Go ahead and launch GUI format by double-clicking on it. Then at the UAC prompt that appears, click on Yes to continue. Before you try to run GUI format, make sure you close out any open instances of File Explorer, otherwise it won't be able to access the USB drive. Take a look in the top left corner of GUI format and you'll see a listing here called Drive. You should see the drive letter for your USB drive here. If you have the wrong drive letter selected by default, be sure to click on the drop down here and pick the correct drive letter. In this case it's drive letter E, but be sure to pick the drive letter that matches your drive. Once you've verified you have the correct drive letter selected, come down to Start at the bottom right corner and left click on it. Then at the confirmation window that appears, click on OK to continue. It only takes a moment to format your USB drive, and the format process is complete. You can come down to Close at the bottom right corner and left click on it to close out the GUI format tool. Now that you've got your USB drive formatted in FAT32, let's get the PS3 folder that you previously downloaded copied over to it. Right-click on File Explorer and open the Downloads folder. I'll take this File Explorer window and drag it over to the left side and snap it into place here. Double-click into the all-in-one folder that you previously downloaded and accessed. Again, this has GUI format and the PS3 folder in it. Open a second instance of File Explorer by right-clicking and select this PC from the list of choices. The USB drive is still plugged in, so you'll have access to it from this PC. Again, it's Drive E named Subscribe. I'll take that window and snap it to the right side of the screen. Double-click on your USB drive in this PC to access the root of the drive. Now that everything is set up this way, all you have to do is drag and drop the PS3 folder from the left side of the screen over to the right side of the screen to the root of your USB drive. The PS3 folder already has the correct structure for the folders and a hybrid firmware file that you're going to need in the next step to start updating your PS3 for PS3 HEN. At this point, you can close out the File Explorer window for your USB drive. Quick housekeeping note here, you can also go back one level in the navigation to the root of your Downloads folder and delete the all-in-one folder because you don't need it anymore. And remember, it's still archived for you in your recycle bin if you find out later that you do want it. That's everything you have to do with your PC. You can transition over to your PlayStation 3 for the remainder of the guide. Remove the USB drive from your computer. Then insert the drive into the rightmost USB port on your PS3. An important note here before we get started on the PS3 side. Make sure it's connected to either the wired or wireless internet before proceeding. Before installing the hybrid firmware, I think it makes sense to take care of some key system settings. To do this, slide over in the cross media bar to the Settings tab, then scroll down 5 times until you get to System Settings. Select it either with the X button or circle button depending upon the region of your PS3. I'm going to say X throughout the video, but just understand that these are interchangeable depending upon your region. First, make sure that Automatic Updates is turned off. If it's turned on your system, select it with the X button and change it from on to off with the D-pad and then select off with X. You don't want an automatic system update overriding your hybrid firmware. Sony hasn't put out anything new under the What's New tab for the PlayStation 3 for a long time, so you might as well turn it off and save yourself a step in the future every time you boot your PS3. Come down to Display What's New, then select it with the X button. If this setting is turned on, use the D-pad to change on to off with the highlight, then select off with the X button to lock in this change. It's a really good idea before you proceed to make sure that the date and time and the daylight savings time settings are set correctly on your PS3. Press the circle button to go back one level to the Settings tab. From here, scroll down twice until you get to Date and Time settings. Select it with the X button. Before you set the date and time itself, scroll down to the listing for Daylight Savings Time. If you set Daylight Savings Time first, it won't get off by an hour when you go set the time over the internet. Select Daylight Savings Time with X. At the time I recorded this video, Daylight Savings Time is in effect for the east side of the United States. So I'm going to change this from Standard to Daylight Saving and select it with X. Okay, perfect. Now that the Daylight Savings Time is set, I'm going to scroll all the way back up to the top here to Date and Time. Select it with X and you'll be given 2 choices. You can either set the date and time manually or set it over the internet. My recommendation is to set it over the internet. Scroll down to Set via Internet and select it with the X button. When you update Daylight Savings Time settings before you update date and time over the internet, it will properly compensate for Daylight Savings Time when it takes the time check over the internet for the first time. Excellent. Now that the date and time is set correctly, you can press the circle button to go back several times until you're back to the Settings tab of the cross media bar. Hey, did you notice something strange here? The theme for the PlayStation 3 cross media bar and main menu just changed when I set the date and time over the internet. If you don't like what's happened with your own system, it's an easy fix. Scroll up one time from date and time settings up to theme settings in the cross media bar under the Settings tab. Select it with the X button to go into themes. Inside the Theme submenu, scroll down one time with the D-pad to get to Color and select Color with the X button. From here you can select any color that you like for the theme of your PlayStation 3's cross-media bar and main menu. So many choices, so little time. Which one should I pick? Well, PlayStation has blue as its main color and branding, so I'll select blue from the list of choices here. It also is kind of easy to read on screen because the blue's kind of dark and the text is white and easy to read. Okay, excellent. Now that the theme color's been set, I'm going to go back to the Settings tab on the cross media bar by just pressing the circle button several times on the controller. Let's make sure the USB drive that you plugged into your PlayStation 3 is actually recognized by your PlayStation 3. A quick and easy way to do this is just to slide over to the Photo tab in the cross media bar using the D-pad. Scroll here until you see a listing that says USB device and the name of your USB drive. If you don't see a USB device listing here, your PlayStation 3 likely has not recognized the USB drive you plugged in, and you'll need to find a compatible USB drive for your PS3 in order to install the hybrid firmware. Installing hybrid firmware from a USB drive works just like installing official system software. Scroll to the Settings tab, then all the way up to the top to System Update. Select System Update with the X button, and you'll be presented with 2 choices: Update via Internet and Update via Storage Media. Use the controller to scroll the highlight down to Update via Storage Media and select it with the X button. The system will tell you you're going to install a version of the system software that matches the existing version, but in this case you're actually updating to a hybrid version of the same software. So you'll want to slide over from No to Yes here and select Yes with the X button to start the hybrid software installation process. Installing this hybrid firmware is exactly like installing any other system software. Just let it run the automatic process and you'll be returned to the cross media bar. The process of installing HEN on your PlayStation 3 Slim or Super Slim model involves the use of your internet browser. We'll need to take care of some key settings in the browser to maximize your chances for success. You'll see why this is super important in just a minute when I attempt to install HEN for the first time. Navigate to the Network tab on the cross media bar, down to Internet Browser, and select it with the X button to launch the browser. The settings you need to access come from a pop-out menu on the side of the screen. I'll press the triangle button and then change the contrast on the video to make things easier to see through the white background. When the sidecar menu appears, use the D-pad to press up several times until you get to the listing that says Tools. Once you're on Tools, press the X button. You'll see a sub-menu appear with a variety of options you can choose. The first one we're going to do is set the home page on the web browser to a blank page. That way when you load the web browser, it doesn't try to go to PlayStation or some other unnecessary website for this process. Use the D-pad to move the highlight down to home page and press the X button. From here, you'll see a flashing highlight bar. Scroll down with the D-pad to the listing that says Use Blank Page and press the X button. Once you've confirmed this change, scroll down with the D-pad to OK and select OK with the X button to lock in the change. Next up, press the triangle button to open the sidecar menu again. Just like before, use the D-pad to go back up to Tools and press the X button. In the submenus that appear, use the D-pad to scroll the highlight down to the listing that says Confirm Browser Close and press the X button. You'll see a pop-up appear on the right side of the screen and it's set to On by default. Scroll down with the D-pad to Off and press the X button to lock in this change. Next up, we've got some deleting to do, and it's all in that Tools menu. Press Triangle, go up to Tools, and press X. The first thing you want to delete are cookies. Scroll down with the D-pad to the listing that says Delete Cookies and press the X button. At the confirmation pop-up that appears, use the D-pad to slide over from No to Yes and press the X button. Press the triangle button again, go up to Tools, and press X. This time, scroll down to the listing that says Delete Search History and press the X button. Once again, at the confirmation pop-up that appears, slide over to the left to Yes and press the X button. For the third time, press the triangle button, navigate up to Tools, and press X. Scroll down to the listing that says Delete Cache and press the X button. Just like with the others, at the confirmation message that appears, use the D-pad to press to the left to go from No to Yes, and press X to select Yes. Okay, for the fourth and final time, press the triangle button. Scroll up to Tools and press X. This time, scroll down to the listing that says Delete Authentication Information and select it with the X button. And just like with the other times, use the D-pad to slide over to Yes and press the X button. Once you've completed all of these steps, press the circle button to exit the internet browser and go back to the cross media bar. Now your browser is squeaky clean. To start the HEN installation process, go right back into the internet browser by selecting it with X. From here, you'll need to enter a website address. To do that, press the Start button on the controller. This will pop out the virtual keyboard on screen. Press the square button until you clear out the blank message inside the web address bar. Then enter the following address: PS3HEN PS3HEXPLOIT.me. Note that there is no E in the word exploit, it's just PS3XPLOIT.me. Once you have this address entered, press the Start button on the controller twice to load the web page. It makes sense to bookmark this page because you'll probably be going back to it again in the future. To do that, press the Select button on your controller. You'll be asked to add a bookmark. Just select Add a Bookmark with the X button. The bookmark will automatically be labeled for you. Press the X button on the controller to create the bookmark. From the main menu of PS3 Exploit, navigate up to the top ribbon where it says PS3 HEN and hover over it with the pointer. You'll see a series of drop-down choices here. The very first listing on here is called the HEN Auto Installer. Navigate down to it with the pointer and select it with the X button to launch it. The website will automatically provide you with a necessary helper file. This is an expected process and is completely normal. Once you see the message that says that the download is complete, press the circle button to go back to the HEN Auto Installer. Have a look right here in the center of the browser window. The cursor should have automatically been positioned on the button that says Auto Install HEN. Press the X button on the controller to start the installation process. You'll see a new message appear underneath the button with a percentage indicating the status of the installation. While it's running here, an important note: if it fails the installation, refresh the web page and try it again. You may have to run it more than once for the installation to take on your specific PlayStation 3. You should see a new pop-up screen telling you that JavaScript wants to close this web browser. You do, so scroll over from No to Yes with the D-pad and select Yes with the X button to close the auto installer. Once you're back at the PS3exploit.me page, press the circle button to close the web browser. You'll be taken back to the cross-media bar where 2 files will be installed. The installation processes will be automatic. All you have to do is let the first file automatically install on your PlayStation 3. Once that process is complete, press the circle button and the second file will automatically install itself. You'll hear a confirmation tone and see a message on screen once the installation processes are complete. Press the circle button and your PS3 will automatically restart. Once your PlayStation 3 has restarted, it should come back up to the cross-media bar and on the Game tab. You'll be at a message that says Enable HEN. To launch HEN for the first time, press the X button on your controller. You'll see a short white flash on screen, and then you'll see the HEN logo appear near the middle of the screen. Once HEN's been loaded, you'll see a confirmation message appear near the top right corner of the screen. You should also see that you now have access to the package manager directly underneath the Enable HEN message. That means you can install homebrew package files on your PlayStation 3. Okay, I want to point out something just in case you run into this. With the 4.90 version of HEN, if you had Webman installed, it could literally get you caught in an endless loop where you couldn't get rid of Webman and couldn't launch HEN. In other words, McClunky. But there is a fix for this. Using that same FAT32 formatted USB drive you previously used, right-click on the root of the drive, pick New, and Text Document. Name that new text document boot_plugins and press the Enter key. Remove the USB drive from your computer and put it back in the rightmost USB port on your PS3. Go ahead and enable HEN now. This will bypass any plugins that you have running, including plugins from Webman, and allow you to launch HEN. Then you can update your installation of Webman to the most recent version through the package manager. Now that you've got HEN up and running on your system, learn how to play backups of your PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 1 games on it. Learn how to install Iris Man on your newly HEN-enabled PlayStation 3 with this video shown on screen and linked in the description and pinned comment. I'll be waiting for you there.